last 12 hours until the transfer window closes, and boy, do the clubs know it. A hectic start to deadline day. Developments within the last few minutes on Alexis Sanchez and Riyad Mahrez.
I'm at Arsenal, where they've had no further bids for Alexis Sanchez, and they're preparing to lose Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
The race is on for Alexis Sanchez. Pep Guardiola signed him once before. We're waiting to find out when City will make their second bid for the Chilean.
The one announcement we are expecting here at Liverpool: Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain finalising his £35 million move from Arsenal. He underwent a medical contract worth £120,000 over 5 years.
And Spurs are now favourites to swoop in and snatch Fernando Llorente from under Chelsea's noses.
And I'll have all the big deals in the EFL. Could be a busy one at Birmingham, with one deal already done and Hotter on his way from Brentford.
And if you are out and about and want to keep it right up to date with the latest deals and developments, don't worry, you can keep it right up to date on our live blog, website and digital devices.
Plenty of business still to be done, but will Alexis Sanchez still be an Arsenal player by the end of the day? We got both halves of the equation covered right here. Developments from the Emirates in the last few minutes on Sanchez and Riyad Mahrez. Let's go first, live, to Aidan McGee, who is at the Emirates Stadium. Aidan.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I've managed to speak to a senior source at Arsenal within the last 20 minutes, half an hour or so, and they tell me that the next move as regards Alexis Sanchez will have to come from Manchester City. He is not minded to sell, and they won't accept a straight cash offer either. That's because there simply isn't enough time for them to go around Europe or even around the rest of the Premier League to secure the kind of target, of the kind of calibre of player they need to replace Alexis Sanchez. And that leads most people, including myself, to think that perhaps they're waiting for City to come up with a viable alternative to possibly Raheem Sterling in terms of a player used in part exchange. Now, Sergio Aguero, a player of clear calibre, the kind of striker they'd be looking for is somebody very much on their radar. We don't know whether City are prepared to, the kind of striker they'd be looking for is somebody very much on their radar. We don't know whether City are prepared to play ball on that. Elsewhere, we know that there's no interest from Arsenal on Leicester's Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez has been floating around somewhere in the ether today, somewhere around Europe in a plane. We're not quite sure whereabouts he is right now, but as I say, Arsenal have no interest in him. In terms of outgoings as well, we know that Shkodran Mustafi is going to be staying, but there could be movement on Perez, Debuchy and Joel Campbell going out on loan. I'm told to watch this space also on England midfielder Jack Wilshere, who spent last season, of course, on loan at Bournemouth.
OK, so Arsenal ruling out a cash-only deal for Sanchez, according to Aidan McGee. But that is just what City are after. So, the other half of the equation, James Cooper is at the Manchester City training ground for us. So, James, where does this leave this potential deal?
Well, I think we're about to find out just how much Manchester City want to have Alexis Sanchez as part of their squad for this season forthcoming. I think we'll find out, certainly from what Manchester City have told us, they were happy to go with cash, and that's no great surprise, bearing in mind the resources involved in this football club. If Arsenal are telling them, then there has to be a club. If Arsenal are telling them, then there has to be a player involved. I think I said last hour, one of the stumbling blocks could be filling the vacancy left by Alexis Sanchez at Arsenal, someone of the same calibre, not only to keep Arsene Wenger happy, but also the fans that are sort of nipping at his heels at the moment. So you can understand that. I think now we'll find out the will on Pep Guardiola's part to sign a player who's already signed once before for Barcelona. How desperately does he want him in his squad for this season, and really how willing would he be to let go of one of perhaps his crown jewels, whether it isn't Raheem Sterling, whether it's Sergio Aguero. I think both Raheem Sterling, whether it's Sergio Aguero, I think both those players will certainly not be players that Manchester City fans would want to see leave the Etihad Stadium. So I think it's time for us to sort of speak to our sources connected to Manchester City and see where this one goes. But certainly earlier in the day I was being told this will be long and this will be late, and it's not a great deal of surprise when you think of how many other deals might also be in the offing for Manchester City. As I said earlier in the day, two priorities for Pep Guardiola in the remaining hours of this transfer window. One, a forward that can play across the line, so that ticks the box of Alexis Sanchez if that deal can indeed be done. And then the other thing is a centre-back. We're told that Manchester City are considering a deal from Crystal Palace, a bid from Crystal Palace around £23 million for Mangala. I think it's now up to the player whether he wants to stay in the Premier League or perhaps hold out in the remaining hours for an gala. I think it's now up to the player whether he wants to stay in the Premier League or perhaps hold on. But interesting enough, of course, with Johnny Evans here all week, he's had a look at the CFA and all the facilities here, and who knows, perhaps even, it's a chance that some sort of medical may have been done, but that's me kind of speculating and putting two and two together based on the geography. But certainly they're the things that are going on at the moment. I think City are waiting to see how the Wilfried Bony situation unfolds, with perhaps Fernando Llorente ending up with one of the London clubs. And then, of course, there's also the issue of Fabian Delph. So there's an awful lot of plates spinning here at Manchester City at the moment. The key one, though, and the one player that Pep Guardiola wants above all other players here at Manchester City, is Alexis Sanchez. And I think there'll be conversations being had throughout this place where we're standing right now to see whether the will to bring this player in is enough to let one of those players go that already plays for Manchester City.
Well, time will tell. That is the joy of deadline day. So will Arsenal hold on to Alexis Sanchez? Well, one player who looks like he is on his way out of the Emirates is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Is he on his way to Liverpool? How is this deal progressing? Vinny O'Connor, what can you tell us?
Well, we expect that announcement today. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain set to complete a £35 million move to Liverpool. Well, we expect that announcement today. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain set to complete a £35 million move to Liverpool. He isn't here, of course, neither is Jurgen Klopp or the rest of the first-team players. Those who aren't on international duty have been given a bit of time off, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is training with the England squad down at St George's Park, where he underwent a medical and completed that last night. We also understood that personal terms wouldn't be an issue in signing for Liverpool. We understand that he's set to sign a contract worth £120,000 a week across the 5 years of that contract as well. Now, will Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain be Liverpool's signing on deadline day? We know that they retain an interest in Thomas Lemar. We also know that they retain an interest in Virgil van Dijk at Southampton as well. It is our understanding at the moment, though, that if Liverpool are to further test the resolve of Monaco and Southampton, that they will be met with a similar response as to what they've been given throughout this summer, and that is that their players are not for sale. A similar situation as to the one that Liverpool faced with Barcelona and their pursuit of Philippe Coutinho. Barcelona making Coutinho their number one transfer target. Liverpool have stood firm so far. We expect that to remain the case as well from Liverpool owners. Possible outgoings, though, from Liverpool today. Divock Origi, there was talk of him potentially going to Monaco on loan as maybe a bit of a make weight in any deal for Lemar, but it looks like he could be heading now to Wolfsburg, who are willing to pay a £6 million loan fee to Liverpool.
Former Leicester man. Yeah, Andy and Alan still with us. Let's come to you. First of all, former Leicester man, of course. And let's talk about Riyad Mahrez. Position unknown at the moment, somewhere in Europe. But according
posted out of the hotel in the dead of night, doesn't he?
As he did to defenders.
He did, yeah.
The time.
Yeah.
OK, Arsenal saying no. Do you understand that one? And would that perhaps open the door maybe for a move to Barcelona and therefore really end their interest in Philippe Coutinho?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of ifs and buts, aren't there? If Barcelona are interested, if they want him, he's going to go there. Simple as that. If Leicester are willing to sell for the right money, so that would be a done deal. It seems that he's going somewhere. We just don't know at the moment. Arsenal writing themselves out of it. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Do you understand that, though?
Well, as I said earlier, if Sanchez stays, and that's going to be a huge gamble on Arsene Wenger's part, to keep a player that maybe they could get 50 million or more for now, and keep a player that might not be properly for the next 10 months. Can you imagine what a disaster that would be for the dressing room, for Arsene Wenger, for the team, and for the board as well, thinking we could have got 50 million for this fellow and he's not committed to the club. What are we doing? So that's a big gamble for Arsene Wenger. But, you know, if he's not in for Mahrez, I don't know, Thomas Lemar, that went away, didn't it?